angry guy here, and panic and fear of a collapse has broken out as men are refusing to work, date, or marry. So panic and fear of a collapse has broken out as men are refusing to work, date, or marry. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this article. So, guys, as we can see here, the iconic American hard hat job that has the highest level of open positions ever recorded, right? The construction industry in America is facing an extreme labor shortage, roughly 650,000 workers, slowing completion of construction projects from residential homes to infrastructure to hospitals. The shortage of construction workers has many causes. The events of 2020 and shifts in American cultural values, and workforce demographics. The solution, according to experts, is a balance between immigration policy. So, yep, they're going to have to use immigrants to come to America and do these jobs because men in Western society aren't doing them anymore. Greater use of technology and efforts to raise the profile of construction as a career path. Let me make this very clear. The only way to fill these jobs, because there are millions of them that are unfilled, would be to bring in millions and millions of immigrants rapidly. Think about that very carefully. And these would have to be people with the skill sets to do these jobs. The U.S. economy post-2020 growth spurt has come amid one very big problem: the lack of workers for jobs across sectors as they bounce back from the events of 2020 and now attempt to grow and tighter financial conditions. The labor market, where job openings have reached a high as 2 for each available worker, is a force within the inflation that continues to challenge companies looking to hire skilled workers. Nowhere has the tight labor market been more extreme than in construction. The construction sector is a fundamental backbone of the nation. Without structures created by construction workers, Americans would have nowhere to eat, sleep, work, or live. And yet the industry is currently battling the highest level of unfilled job openings ever recorded. According to an outlook from Associated Builders and Contractors, a trade group for the non-union construction industry, construction firms will need to attract an estimated 546,000 additional workers on top of the normal pace of hiring in 2023 to meet the demand for labor. The construction industry averaged more than 390,000 job openings per month in 2022, the highest level on record, while unemployment in the sector of 4.6% was the second lowest on record. A long-term labor force problem. There are simply not enough workers. They don't want to use the word men. There are simply not enough workers to keep up with the growing demand for houses, hospitals, schools, and other structures. What's more, the passage of Biden's infrastructure bill, American municipalities have large sums of money to invest in the revitalization of their buildings, but no one to perform said revitalization. The number of online applications for roles in the construction industry fell 40% at the beginning of 2020 and has remained flat since, according to ZipRecruiter data from April. Despite sharp increases in interest rates over the past year, the shortage of construction workers will not disappear in the near future, said ABC chief economist Anirban Basu in a February release on its labor supply and demand outlook. There is a labor shortage. There's about 650,000 workers missing from the construction industry, and construction backlogs are now at a 4-year high. So they're behind by 4 years. Projects in the construction industry are now backed up by 4 years, guys. 4, said Maria Davidson, CEO and founder of Kojo, a materials management company, in an interview with CNBC, Lori Ann Larocco. The labor challenges come at a time when the construction sector is facing other supply headwinds that arose since the events of 2020. The landscape has dramatically changed since February 2020. Davison said commercial construction materials prices are now 40% higher than they were back in February 2020. Guys, 40% higher. This is insane inflation. When you think about materials availability, it becomes dire. Panels and commonly used equipment is in everything from electrical to mechanical installation are now more than a year in delay. So they can't even get access to these products anymore. And that made it very difficult for contractors all over the country to get the materials they need and be able to install them on time and keep projects on budget. The construction sector's labor issues are showing up across the economy. I think the biggest place we're seeing it show up right now is in housing, said Rusha Van Kudre, an economist at Lightcast. People just aren't getting things built the way they want. In cases where you're building a big hospital project, as an example, you might have locked in the timeline that you expected to complete something by back in 2019 and now be suffering the consequences of the materials disruption that we're seeing, Davidson said. What's more, Davidson cited delays cascade when a contractor or construction company experiences a delay in one trade or a disruption in the supply chain for material that would delay the next trade or the material acquisition as well. For workers who seek construction jobs, the timing has never been better. They're making more money. It's a workers' market, said Brian Turmail, Vice President of Public Affairs and Strategic Initiatives at Associated General Contractors of America. The construction industry is now paying 80% more than the average non-farm job in the United States. There is a constant supply of work and the opportunity to make additional income working overtime hours that would not be available if the labor pool wasn't so tight. Turmail cited an aging labor force. This is where things get even more wonderful. Turmail sounds like turmoil. Turmail cited an aging labor force as a reason for the continued shortage. Workers retire at earlier ages since it is such a physically demanding industry, and the labor force skews older. Construction firms have been incentivizing workers to delay their retirement and work as trainers or teachers. And of course, Gen Z is not taking these jobs. They don't have the skill sets either. Even under these pro-worker conditions, a shift in American work culture has played a role in limiting the attractiveness of the field to job seekers. It's cultural, Turmail said. Mom doesn't want her babies to grow up to be construction workers. For the last 40 years, we've been preaching a message nationally that the only path to success in life lies through a 4-year college degree in some kind of an office. Working in construction can be extremely dangerous compared to other jobs, with the second highest rate of occupational deletions, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Wow. Second highest rate. Van Kudre said that construction as a career path is not particularly appealing to young people, and until the U.S. government and construction companies find a way to change that belief among the labor force's newest generation, the shortage will linger. The process, according to Turmail, starts in schools. Firms are realizing that no one's going to solve the problem but themselves, so they're building stronger relationships with high school programs, even middle school programs. You're gonna trust this group of people who can't read or write, and they don't even want to work a full day's work. They want like a 3-day work week and to be paid like $100K or more for that, so they can sit on their phones and chill. And they want the flexibility to work from home or wherever they choose to. Nah, bro, y'all, this is Japan all over again, man. Y'all aren't gonna succeed with this. All right. They're finding ways to get students out to construction job sites to expose them to career opportunities. Construction firms are not the only ones working to bring new people. Guys, notice they don't want to use the word men, because men are basically just ants. So they're so disposable, they will never use the word men. They're not saying, because guys, they notice, I don't know if they've used the word men even one time. Construction firms are not the only ones working to bring new people into the industry. The LIUNA, the Laborers International Union of North America, has efforts underway to reach more potential workers. We have a lot of different programs to bring new people into the construction industry, said Lisa Martin, LIUNA spokeswoman. Whether they're justice involved, bringing more women in, We have, notice they use the word women. We have apprenticeship programs. We have programs to help high school students graduate with skills to then start in apprenticeship programs. So we have a lot of different avenues to bring more people into the work instead into good paying jobs. Construction is heavily a physical job. Many of these jobs women are not able to do. Not to say I knew a woman who worked in that field. However, she used to handle light things, to be very honest with you. She was a small person. And while they valued her being in the field, these jobs, to move around beams and actually take the risk, because it's a huge physical toll on the body. Women who work in these fields, they leave very quickly. That's why many of them won't even enter the field at all, unless they're working as an architect, an engineer, unless they're working in a part of construction where they are not doing physical labor. Most women will not enter into the field, and if they do, they will not stay into the field because it's absolutely frightening. I remember years ago there was a content creator on YouTube, and she worked in. We got along pretty well. She used to actually make a lot of manosphere based content, and she worked in construction, and she told me a frightening story. She said that, she was like at one of the sites, and she was like cleaning up the wreckage and everything. And there was like a piece of board on the floor, and she was about to sit on it. But thank God she didn't. Instead of sitting on it, she looked behind her and moved the board, because she said that's where she usually would just sit. She's a small person. So she'd just stoop down. When she looked and moved the board, there was a huge hole in the ground. Had she sat on the board, she would have fell far down, and more than likely that would have been the absolute end of her. This is construction. It's no joke. And guys, it's not going to last forever. The baby boomers, they physically can't do these jobs much longer. Okay? Most of the baby boomers have already left the construction field. Gen X is how Gen X is. Gen X will just pick up and walk away when they feel like it. Gen X is the original walk away generation. All right? Like Gen X will just literally say something like, "Yeah, I'm so over this. Peace out." That's it. They will dip. This is Gen X. Okay? And the bruised and battered millennials basically can't take any more. I'm telling y'all right now, millennials are just going to start dropping out in their 40s and 30s, because the people in their 30s are going to look at the people in their 40s and say, "Yeah, I'm done with this." And then the people and the very late the really late millennials, the ones that were born just that were born just before Gen Z, they're also going to say, "Yeah, not me. I'm done with this as well, because I see what your lives are like. I'm not doing that." And of course, Gen Z, being the irritating iPad kids pasteurizing society, they're trying to like hop on that train, like, "Yeah, exactly. We don't want to do it either." Bro, you haven't even had your first job yet, man. Dude, you get out of here. Get out of here. All right, go play Call of Duty or something. All right, we don't want you around. But I mean, for everyone else, yeah, it's not going to work. And guys, here's the danger: you bring over a lot of immigrants. What are they going to do with the money that they earn in the United States? Oh, they're going to spend it in the United States? No, they're not. They're going to take all of that money and send it back to their countries. No one can afford to live in the US right now. Who in their right mind would come to the US, work in these extremely dangerous jobs to make, let's say, oh, sure, you could make $100,000 a year in construction, but you're going to be working quite a bit of overtime, and it's going to take a lot out of your body. Right? So you're trading your health for this money, and then to live in the US where these jobs are. Oh, but you're also going to have to pay rent that's going to eat up the vast majority of your income, and food, along with everything else. Who would agree to that? The only people who would agree to that are people that would come here and then send that money back home. And most of those people are not going to be people that enter into the United States through the normal way, if you get what I'm saying. That's something that the so-called that migrants might do. And if you look at what's happening with them right now, a lot of them are refusing to get jobs because they have their rights, and the government is responsible for providing them with housing, food, shelter, healthcare. So they don't need to do this either. When they come in that way, they have their rights. They have their rights under the law. So they don't want to do these jobs. You're seeing a rapid decrease in people from, let's say Mexico coming into the United States and taking these jobs. Once upon a time, you had a lot of these guys doing these jobs. They don't want to do them anymore. If they do them, they're only going to be sending the money back home. And with the way things are now, they have their rights. They have their rights. They will. Why would they do all of these things when when the government has to provide them with a place to live, has to provide them with health insurance, has to provide them with food, has to provide them with a clothing budget, has to put money in their pockets? Why would they go and put themselves in that situation? They absolutely won't. Guys, this is a result of men walking away from Western society, saying, "I'm done," and not and basically and they don't and that they just don't care. I mean, guys, look at this article. Right, millions of men have dropped out of the workforce, leaving companies struggling to fill jobs. It's a matter of our national identity. This is from January 26, 2023. And so, as you can see, it's not just the construction industry, it's affecting every industry right now. Right, we have more jobs than we have people for. About 1.5 of jobs for every worker, said Jay Timmons, who leads the National Association of Manufacturers. And guys, this is happening in all walks. It's happening in policing. This is happening in sanitation. Guys, men are refusing to work in sanitation because men predominantly make up sanitation workers, not just sanitation people who pick up the garbage, but also people who work at sanitation waste treatment facilities. Because guess what? Most women don't want to work with the poopy water. So it's the men who have to work in the poopy water, just like it's the men who have to climb in the sewers and deal with the poopy water and the scum and the pee and all the other stuff. And they're refusing to do it now. The only reason why men ever did these things is because of family, because of their wife, their children. They were willing to sacrifice their bodies, their times, their lives for love. But now that men are being told that it's not enough. All right, your money is not enough, and we don't want no construction worker. We don't want no sanitation worker. We don't want you. Okay, then you know what? I'm only going to work just enough to take care of myself. I'll save all my extra income, and because I'm not marrying, not having children, not doing any of that, I can live a great life, and that's it. And that's what all these men are doing. And if you look at this article, how are men spending their time? They're spending their time playing video games. All right. On average, guys are spending up to 7 hours a day playing video games and watching television. What do you guys think about this? Panic and fear of the collapse is broken out as men are refusing to work, date, or marry. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about them there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.